Hello, everybody. Welcome. Grab a seat, make yourself comfortable. Today, we're going to talk about demand creation and SEO and how those two things can fuel your pipeline. So exciting stuff. Quick introduction. My name is Taavi. I've been the head of marketing at Messente for over 5 years. 8 years in total in B2B marketing, deeply into demand creation, what a surprise, branding, and B2B marketing in general. This is one of my favorite infographics of all time, I think. This is a marketing technology landscape last year. They publish this every year, and every year the amount of solutions grows by multiple thousands. They haven't published this year one, but I think it will be significantly bigger. Can you guess how many solutions there are on this infographic? There's 11,038 exactly. So can you imagine yourself trying to look for a marketing solution? I think it's going to be quite a headache. They're divided into different categories and then subcategories. And what's common with them most of the time, at least, is that they look basically the same. And I think it also illustrates quite well the increasing competition in every other sector as well. If we take Messente's example, we're in business messaging. There's hundreds of providers there, at least, if not 1,000 plus. And most of them look the same. It was the same case with us a couple months ago. Now, hopefully, we stand out. And on the other hand, the growth at all costs time is over. You need to work more efficiently, more smarter. You need to stand out. There's no millions of VC money to burn on ad campaigns to get the attention or signups. So what's the solution in today's world? In my opinion, it's demand creation. And what's demand creation? Got to love those official definitions. They're such a mouthful. But I think it's important to bring this one out. It's defined by Refine Labs, who are, in my opinion, the pioneers of demand creation. So demand creation is the act of proactively educating your target market who may not be aware of the following. So the problems or challenges that your product solves for. So in Messente's case, it's the need to send business critical information to the customer or make them take a business critical action, both reliably and scalably, right? So for example, verifying themselves when they log in or use service or go get the package from the parcel machine. The second point, your overall category. I think this is especially important for some startups who are building a completely new category. There's no awareness for that. For Messente, the category is business messaging. For ethical, it's link building and SEO. But a completely new category can be, we can wake up one day at Messente and think that, hey, let's do business messaging, but without sending any messages. So then you have to start educating, like, first of all, why, then how, and what will the customer get out of that. So, and only then you will start getting some demand that you can convert into business. And how their workflow could be improved with your product. Again, Messente's example, using SMS for customer support. Official definitions are great, but they're, I think, hard to remember. So a real life example is always good here. I have a friend who is an expert in Facebook marketing or Facebook ads. She's done that for years. She has her own tactics and tricks to implement that produce consistent results. And one day she was asked to do a seminar similar like this in a university, where the audience were marketing and business leaders. And after an hour of her seminar, 2 of those leaders came to her and asked for her services. So what happened was that through sharing her expertise, firstly, she made them understand that, hey, I have a problem with Facebook ads and I need a solution for that. And secondly, that she is the best person to provide that solution. So in other words, she made them think that buying was their own idea, which demand creation essentially is. It's educating the market who's not ready to buy today, the 95%. It's making them see the problem and giving them a reason to fix it. And it's also building trust by helping them do their work better tomorrow. So when they are ready to buy, they will think of you first. Where it happens? Social networks, of course. B2B, LinkedIn is a big thing, but also TikTok. Content platforms, Spotify, YouTube, communities, both online and offline communities. So regular events such as this, for example. I would add here also conversations with the peers, asking for recommendations, business lunches, etc. But the thing is that you, as a marketer, need to know where the customer spends their time the most and where they get the information to do their work. It's pretty simple on paper, right? But the execution is where it gets hard. So how to start executing on demand creation? And this is the part where I'll bring a lot of Messente's examples. And there are a few fundamental things that you absolutely must do. First is customer research. Not just a few surveys, but deeply understanding them. Interviews, visits, listening to sales calls, dinners, meetups, etc., etc., etc. At Messente, we created key personas with extensive research. We did about 18 in-depth interviews. We also partnered with anthropologists to do those things. Then we had additional 3 or 4 rounds of interviews for different projects and goals. We mapped the personal and company challenges. We mapped the decision-making process, what channels they use, and also how they use SMS, what's important for them. But today we know that that's not enough. Looking back, it turns out that we mapped only like a part of our ideal customer segment. And the challenge is that for our customers, there isn't one specific role who's responsible for business messaging. It can be a COO, it can be a CEO, it can be from marketing, product, operations. So the next step for us is to create specific profiles for every role in every industry that we want to target, and cover the decision makers, but also end users who might influence the decision making process. So research can be a lot of manual work. And sometimes it makes sense to do those big research projects. But what's a smart way to approach those things is, in addition to those big research projects, you will build feedback loops. Feedback loops can be social listening, for example. You monitor what's going on LinkedIn, what are they posting about your key topics, what are the conversations taking place in the comments. You attend events where your ICP customers are, etc., etc. There's so many possibilities, and I think the sky is the limit. You have to think outside the box and create those basically automatic points of feedback that you can use to fuel your strategy. Another key component before doing anything else in demand creation is positioning and brand messaging strategy. And this is ours. It's quite thorough, 32 pages, and we will soon add some stuff here as well. I wouldn't recommend to copy everything that we did, because it very much depends on which stage you are in. If you're early stage startup, going this deep is probably a waste of time. Things change very fast. You might pivot, your ideal customer might change, etc. But there are some key things that you should still have. Firstly, this should be based on research, both internal and external. So every relevant stakeholder should give their input to this. Second thing, positioning. Where do you fit in the market? How is your product the best at delivering something that your customer cares about? And the third part is the narrative and unique points of views. You have to say something original. You have to take a stance. You have to have opinions. Otherwise, you're just noise and you will blend in the information flow. So this should be a living document that changes as your company grows and learns new things about the market, the product, the customer. So those were the fundamentals, and this is now where the things get tactical, and they might be different for every company. But this is how we do it. So most of it revolves around personal brands. And the main one is our CEO, Uku. But we support everybody in the company who wants to build their brand. And he is the subject matter expert in business messaging, who can provide valuable insights and advice from the business messaging industry. The best case scenario for taking this approach is that you have somebody inside the company who's the expert that you can use to produce the content. But if it's not the case, you can bring somebody from outside the company, but it's a lot harder to do, probably. In our case, since our ICP is challenging, we need to cover a lot of different profiles. We are actually shaking things up and looking for a partner for Uku from the industries or industry that our customer comes from, who has done the job that our customer is doing, to get those grassroots insights that we will never have because we are not doing the job. In conclusion, why we're doing personal brands is because people trust people, not companies. They want to know people before they do any business. In addition to personal brands, we're also building our community. And the goal with this community is that we want to be the go-to experts when it comes to business messaging. Another goal is to have an audience that we control, not the social media platforms or big businesses that can decide that, hey, tomorrow we will cut your reach, right? So it's a long-term play as well. But we also want to foster as much value as possible inside the community. So new connections, advice from peers, recommendations, so on and so on. And I think building a community is probably one of the hardest things that you can do in marketing. So it's definitely not recommended for everybody. And one recommendation that I would give is that don't go for maximum size, but maximum engagement. So choose carefully who do you let in the community, because otherwise there are multiple examples in the tech world where the communities that they've built have grown into 10,000 plus and then died because the value gets diluted, the people there are not high profile, etc., etc. Inside the community, we host bi-weekly online events. And this is also another source for customer intel as well, the questions that they ask and the feedback that we get. These events are repurposed into all kinds of different content, LinkedIn posts, newsletters, podcasts, YouTube videos. The thing with demand creation is that there's a lot of content that you need to produce. And one of the ways to do it smart without producing every single content piece separately is to record a long form content, which is basically this online event, and then repurpose it to clips and articles and whatnot. Overall, what matters is that you are present in the channels where your customers are. So you don't necessarily have to do events, online events. It can be just LinkedIn, it can be just podcast, it can be something else. Do your research and then pick one channel to dominate. Common objections for demand creation, and I was able to come up with 2. There are probably more, but those are the main things. The first one is you can't track demand creation. In my mind, I think it's a misconception because the principle of demand creation is that you don't track every single content piece separately and try to figure out what's the ROI for every content piece, but you look at the activity as a general and then how it correlates to your business results, right? The misconception comes from the old school lead gen thinking and the KPIs that are used there. You can't take the same approach with demand creation. You have to implement, which is called hybrid attribution, which means you ask from customers or leads where they heard about you in the forums, during the sales calls. You analyze that, and then combine software attribution, which is HubSpot saying that, hey, this lead came from Google Ads. And then you can track pretty well what's going on with demand creation. The second objection, time to impact, is too long. This comes from the saying that don't do anything else before you have done the podcast for 9 months. On one hand, yes, you need to give it time. Demand creation is a long-term strategy. On the other hand, you should see positive signs well before 6 to 9 months. So increased engagement, conversations, DMs, first leads coming in who are saying that, hey, I saw your LinkedIn post or podcast or whatnot. So there will be signs. If after 3-4 months there's still complete silence, then something is probably wrong and you should act, not wait until 6 or 9 months goes past. Okay. Demand capture. Again, official definition. It involves acquiring solution-aware prospects that are actively searching for a solution. They're not knowledgeable about your category, your competitors, and your brand. Refine Labs. basically paid marketing, in other words, most of the time. It goes hand in hand with demand creation, because when you create the demand, you have to somehow convert it into business as well. Demand capture focuses mostly on the 5% who are not ready to buy, who are ready to buy, today. But yeah, it's pretty simple stuff. In terms of resources and focus, 20% should go here, 80% on demand creation. Where it happens: website, pay-per-click channels, Google Ads, review sites, Capterra, G2, and of course SEO as well, which leads to the website. Your website should be the main place where demand capture happens. If it's not, then probably something is wrong, and you should look at the customer journey and see how you can fix that. I would add here that don't forget to also optimize your buying experience. So do you offer an option to book calls directly after the form submission? Are you inside the sales process as well? Do you review lead handling processes? Your job doesn't end after the form submission. As said, website should be the main place for capturing demand, so you should invest in it. And the biggest investment shouldn't be the design. It should be the content of your web, the copy, the messaging. This is a screenshot of one of the message testing that we did for our web using Winter, which is a message testing tool for B2B audiences. And this has helped us immensely. I think this is one of the latest tests, so the score is already pretty good. But the first one, it got destroyed. So we have this extensive brand messaging strategy in place, but messaging is what you want to say. Copy is how you say that. So you have to test how the copy works before you do any big launches or redesigns or whatnot. So the first copy that we put into Winter, we were super happy with that, very confident, and it got worse results than the old design of our web. So super important to test. Winter can be costly though. So again, if you don't have the budget, you can basically do those tests yourself. If you have any active customers, or you're able to talk to the potential customers who are not your customers yet, you can do it manually as well. We're also present at Capterra. It's not a rocket science. You gather reviews every now and then. You pay for the position in every specific country. It has higher intent traffic than Google Ads, but at the same time, it's hard to optimize because there's no algorithm. You can only pick the countries that you're showing your listing at and the position inside those. So you can track the quality per country, but that's basically it. But I still recommend at least testing it. And of course, getting good reviews is also an important part of that. Google Ads. It's our second biggest driver of demand capture pipeline. The challenge for us, again, is that we have two go-to-market motions, so product-led for self-serve and smaller clients, and also sales-led for enterprise clients. So the pipe is the same, but we have to somehow know what's the quality per the go-to-market motion. So we're implementing a detailed conversion tracking there with two separate tracks respectively. So main conversion events for self-serve customers, so what happens after they create the account and go through those important steps. And of course for sales deals as well. And there we use offline conversion tracking with Google Analytics and connected with HubSpot. So again, important stages in the deals. Thing is, form submission doesn't show quality, so you should always look what happens after that and feed that information into your paid channels if possible. One more lesson for us, at least, is that negative keyword list management is absolutely crucial. Broad match, in my opinion, is used when you want to just burn money and you have too much of that. It just gives random keywords, and in some cases, phrase match as well. On paper looks good, those terms look super relevant, but if you look into those, the search results are completely random or irrelevant, and in our case, sometimes even fraudulent things. So review your keywords. And last but not least, of course, SEO. SEO makes 60% of our demand capture pipeline. This is the amount of keywords that we have, and the growth of that throughout about 5 years. We started from 350 keywords, rose to 24,000 about here, and then economic depression happened, and we got hit with the Google algorithm. Today we're hovering around 19,000. Konstantin will go deeper into SEO and how it's done at Messente, but here are some key things that I've learned throughout the years. So not every dip in rankings is an emergency, but you shouldn't ignore the big ones. So at the time, those little dips here, they were super scary, but it's like stock market. If you go long term, those are nothing. This is something. So this triggered some actions from our side as well. So don't ignore those changes, and of course look at the correlation with algorithm changes. Intent over traffic volume always. We went about the year without increasing our organic traffic, as we were targeting high intent keywords that had maybe 10 or 20 searches per month, but we doubled our organic conversions the same year. And third point, quality content is important, but it's nothing without backlinks.
Hello everyone, I hope you enjoy our seminar. So my name is Konstantin, I'm CEO and founder of company Ethical SEO, and I want to tell you a story. I used to be a marketing and head of marketing company acquisiton for 5 years. It's an AI machine learning development company. And at some point I understood that I wanted to outsource SEO services, right? And at some point I understood that all the SEO services that provided to startups in Estonia are really poor. And that's the moment where I decided to change the things and open the agency I'm working on. So I want to start with a story about what SEO used to be, because it's important to understand how things are changed. So before, if you know and have been dealing with SEO and content marketing, before, for long periods of time, links was the biggest indicator for whether your website is better fit for a user or another one, right? Content, it was relatively easily done. You just have to use some keywords, right? You have some keyword density, so repetitively use some keywords and just cover semantically close topics. And of course, if we speak about tech SEO on high level, you have to be sure that your website is crawlable and indexable by Google. And of course, you need to follow the basic guidelines of having meta description, title tags, H tags, and so on, right? So, but you know, people, they tend to want to generate money, right? So someone's told already that he wants to make sales here, right? So at that moment of time, people start to manipulate that, and what they start to do is massively producing spammy links. So I don't know if someone of you have done SEO like 10 years ago or 12 years ago. Someone? No? Okay, so you know that basically you could just massively publish comments on different blog posts, put them in forums, and then voila, you're magically ranking Google, right? Until, of course, you had this penguin and panda update, right? But basically people started manipulating that. And also, it was easy to create content. You could just basically do keyword stuffing, where you massively repeat some specific terms in the content, and yeah, that's it. You don't need to do anything except tech SEO, right? So that's basically the idea. The reason why Google use links is very simple. The original idea comes to the academic literature, because in academic literature you have citations, and the logic is simple. If your work is good, probably more authors will cite you. And Google thought the same. Well, that's the problem. The thing is that Google understood that the difference between Yahoo and Google was that Google served better search results. But if people started spamming massively and just showing in the top 10 results some poor results, people aren't happy, right? So that's when Google started addressing the issue. And by the way, this was my original post in Twitter back in 2012. So for you just to understand how easy it was doing SEO at that moment of time. So you had like a bunch of websites where you could just easily, published your content, some similar article, and then link back to your money site, basically. And that's it, nothing else. But Google was really awkward at that period of time because, he couldn't do anything with that. So how things changed? So first of all, in order to address these problems, Google went brick by brick, first addressing link issue by introducing such a system called Spam Brain. Basically, it's an AI algorithm that analyzes massive amounts of data and finds patterns and connection between different backlinks. And the thing is that you have to understand that this algorithm is not just capable of finding websites that sell backlinks. And if you do not know, this is a big business. There are a huge amount of websites that will sell you backlinks. Maybe you receive these emails. I receive like 10, 20 emails per day. Someone offers me to buy backlinks. So what they're doing is basically they have websites that just exist just to sell backlinks. That's it. And Google is capable of finding not just the websites that sell, but also those who buy them. And if you buy massively backlinks, what can happen to you is that, well, you can get penalized and disappear from Google. Not very nice, right? So in terms of content, you have to understand several key concepts. First of all, EEAT, which is the original version of EAT, which stands for experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trust. Especially this is important in the field of, let's say, the niche of your money, your life. For instance, if you are providing financial services or advising people, if you do medical treatment, you should be very aware of the EAT concept because you should be very transparent and Google should clearly understand who are you, who wrote the content, who is the author, does he have a background to provide any advice, and so forth. But in our days, and also these are some lessons we learned in Messente, especially the EAT stuff, is that author should be clearly known and he should have a proper background. I will speak about EAT shortly in more details. So helpful content. And BERT. BERT is a system that basically allowed Google to not just understand the words, but understand the meaning behind sentences. Basically, like we have right now in ChatGPT and conversational models, our language models, this allowed Google to decrease the number of poor quality content. But how Google understands whether the content is helpful or not? This is especially important as Taavi showed that we had a decrease in traffic, right? So basically right now we are working on helpful content EAT improvement. So that's why I'm speaking about that. So first of all, when we speak about helpful content, Google checks whether you have increased engagement on the website, whether you have any transactional behavior and interactions. So what does it mean? So let's simulate a situation that you're looking for something. Let's say someone has a headache. He goes to Google and he searches for advice how many pieces of paracetamol he can take in a day, right? So you will have some kind of an answer. Either it will be a feature snippet or you will go to a web page itself. And let's assume you spend 30 seconds only on a page. Someone would say like 30 seconds, it's so few, right? So it's nothing. But that's the thing. That's where you have to understand that one SEO rule puts another on top of it. So the length of the session or engagement fully depends on the search intent, or basically, in simple words, depends on the aim of the searcher. So if he wants to find an answer, he should find it quickly. So, okay, but how will Google then understand that this engagement is small or good, right? So what he will be looking on is the transaction behavior. So we have two scenarios where we look for information. Either we are happy or unhappy. If we are unhappy, we go back to Google, right? We basically go back and start scrolling for other answers. And also, if we're happy, basically, we usually end the session. We either close the tab or we navigate to another website. That's it. Interesting also comment that it's not so simple also, because, for example, in some cases, if we simulate another search, for example, you're looking for a plumber or electrician, right? What you will be doing is your behavior will be that you will be going back and forth because you will be sending sending requests for quotation, and that's a normal behavior. So that's where it becomes even more complicated. So how do we know that? Like, why I say such things? Well, basically, Google posts a lot of guidelines on its own websites. So basically, the first sentence related to helpful content is that Google basically rewards website or content that has a satisfying experience. So that's everything you have to know. So in a nutshell, it means that if someone suggests you right now to write long-form content, like 3,000-word long articles, forget about that. It's not the right advice, because the length of the article should depend on the search intent and nothing else. And people mostly do such mistakes because they look what is ranking right now and they think, okay, it's Frank's, that's the right answer. No, the algo will change the things at some point. So why helpful content exists? So basically, there are lots of search content made for search engines. So basically, not for the user, but for the search engine, just to manipulate the position. So that's why it targets it. Also, if your content doesn't meet search intent or doesn't meet the goal of the user, for example, again, getting back to the paracetamol example, well, if you end up with an article which sounds like, what is paracetamol? Like, when you need to take it? Like, I mean, you will be bored, right? You need to just have a very straightforward answer. And also, if someone is dealing with affiliate marketing, it targets the content that has a bias, because affiliate marketing is where you review some products for a commission. So in that case, of course, you're interested in selling a product, so your review might be not very transparent. You should understand potential signals, how Google, let's say, tracks whether your content is helpful or not. So it's engagement time, pages per session, click-through rate, page interaction, and also very important, returning visitors. Because he thinks that if your website is interesting, content is nice, you will get back to it, right? So that's the point. Also, just for you to know that there is a self-assessed questions. I left the link there below. There are like 10 or something questions, which basically you can ask yourself when you're creating a content, whether it actually follows the helpful content guidelines. So you can check that as well. So something about EAT. So the most important thing about EAT is trust, all right? So the thing is that the concept is very simple. If you want to have like an advice for someone, you better prefer someone that has experience with the product. The same with expertise. If you want to get an advice from related to legal or finances, you expect to get that from the person that has a relevant background, right? And interesting to know that expertise and experience, they overlap, because sometimes, because of your experience, you gain expertise, right? And authoritativeness means that your website is a good go-to-go source for information, let's say Wikipedia or Forbes or whatever. And trust is also like the thing that signalizes that basically we can trust you. So some things to know, like on what things does it depend. So for instance, you should clearly state who is the author. If you're a B2B company, definitely your About Us page should be very good. You should mention who are the people behind the organization, include bio, and include links to social media, because, for example, if you include that to LinkedIn, well, there's all your background, right? All the degrees you have and so on. Also, one advice, when you include author bios, include that in the top of the page, because as we know right now, because of BERT and algorithms, Google scans your web page, okay? And scanning web page is costly. So it has specific amount of tokens that you can use to scan and read your text. So sometimes people put author bios at the end. And I saw research on the topic that shows correlation between those pages because Google simply didn't catch the information about the author bio. So put it on the top. Also, author definitely should have a relevant background, so put some like one or two sentences related to whether a person, like, I don't know, studied or he worked in finance industry or whatever industry you're working in, so put that. Definitely social media signals is very important. Google sees whether people share your content in social media and whether they retweet, comment, and so on. So this is also a very important signal. Definitely, you should update your content, and if you make correct facts with sources. Google has knowledge, Google's knowledge graph, which means that he knows everything about most of the entities. Entities are people, places, so basically facts. Update your content, because if your content won't be factually correct, you won't rank. Of course, there are probably moments when algos don't catch that, but believe me, it will happen at one moment of time. Definitely, you need high quality and niche relevant backlinks. So what does it mean? So let's assume getting back to authoritativeness and trust. So how can you get that? So let's assume you are providing some medical treatment or financial treatment or financial advisory and so on. So such type of services. It's much more beneficial for you to get 5 backlinks from similar organizations in the same niche, which also provide financial services or whatever. Then you get 50 backlinks from just random blog posts, because in the eyes of Google, these are relevant and trusted sources, and blog posts, they're generic. So this means that you need niche relevant backlinks. PR and brand coverage, this is also my advice and my forecast, especially because of Google's AI coming to the search results. So ask yourself a question. If I will ask an AI about top, I don't know, SMS gateway providers, what it makes you to appear in the answer? Right? So you need to have brand coverage. So Google needs to know you as a brand, as an entity, and that gives you chances to be in the AI response, right? And definitely basic stuff, you should have a secured website, privacy policy, disclosure, whatever, and always include reviews and testimonials of real people. I also right now advise as a marketer to include links to your customers' social media profiles, because anyone can put, like, testimonials, but when you actually can write a person LinkedIn, it creates more trust. One hack that we use, you can use BART AI. It's a conversational chat from Google. What we experimented with is that we created a prompt like, okay, do you know about the helpful content and EAT standards? I just didn't show this image, but the next question was like, okay, I'm planning to create a page about SMS verification or whatever topic, and I want you to create me like a brief structure, what should be included in the topic. Why it's good? Because the thing is that you mostly, if you're dealing with content creation, for example, you use such tools as Founder of SEO, which is basically right now quite popular in content creation. The content structure is mostly based on the content that already exists, but it doesn't mean that the content that exists is good, right? So you can tackle this topic from different angles, and again, cover the topic in terms of following the EAT and helpful content guidelines. And yeah, we tried that. It can sometimes help you to find new inspiration and angles on the topic. Now let's get more practical. I have a question. Does anyone from you do like SEO constantly or keyword research, something? Can you raise your hand so I understand like how many people are really aware of that? Okay, good. So when you start any work, besides, of course, going deeper into the business model, because when I start any cooperation, I try to evaluate whether it even makes sense to do SEO in the first place, right? Because it just might not make sense. You perform a keyword research or topical research, and you need to understand that there are different types of keywords categorically, let's say. So, for instance, first type is errors. For some reason, a person has an issue with something, right? So, for example, Safari can't establish a secure connection. In this case, if someone is looking for such thing, you can address this problem and give a solution in the console. Also, you have informational. That's kind of we all know about that. Yeah, we write blog posts about how-to guides and so on. Just remember, they almost never convert into paid visitors. You can also we have like different commercial tiers. So, for example, one thing is that commercial tier A is like live streaming platform, so it can be a listicle, like best live streaming platforms. The tip here is that you need to include your solution if you're doing that, number one. And it's an interesting fact that this type of pages convert so well. This was one of the biggest not surprises, but lessons for me. When people are looking for best something solution and they're in Google, they land on an article and they don't see what's the website they're on. They don't check the URL. You just read the article in most cases. And then when you see a solution number one, you just click on the brand name and you go on the page. That's it. You thought that someone recommended it, but it was actually your article, right? So this works pretty well. Also, you can do and if I'm not mistaken, Messente gained like an enterprise level lead out of this article. So you have to understand the level of people you can gain. And for one of my other customer, we get a lead from MasterCard, for example, right? So commercial tier B, when you compare your solution to another, integrations, again, for instance, integration was the go-to strategy for Zapier. Zapier used like all the Google Sheets, whatever integrations, and then they sold their product. Navigational, when you're a more established company. Transactional, when they on the latest stages of the funnel, when people are ready to purchase something. Jobs to be done, again, some, let's say, lead magnets that you can use as a step in the lead and in the funnel, and linkable assets, which is good for link building, natural link building, because you can have some authentic data that people will naturally link back. So we have the same experiments where we have like SMS marketing statistics, right? And we gain several links from that. You have to understand also that depending on your goal, like why you want to do SEO, you should use specific type of keywords or content for that keywords, right? So if you want to increase brand value, you focus on that specific types of content. If you want to generate revenue, definitely you need to tackle commercial and transactional keywords. And if you want to establish topical authority, of course, you need to have like informational. I'm not going deep into that. Also, okay, everyone made the photo, so I just okay, so good. So also, you have to understand. You need to know that you can tackle different topics depending on the life cycle stage or, let's say, customer journey. So if he's unaware of the problem that he has, definitely you tackle that with informational content or demand generation, because you educate people, you tell them about what's wrong with them. If they are aware of the problem, you tackle again with information or some jobs to be done, some templates, whatever. I know if people are making some marketing budgeting, they need a template, they download it and then you can upsell your solution. If they're aware of the solution, you start tackling them with the specific listicles, like best solutions for something, commercial tier B, and so on. All right, so different stages, different content. And also, very important, startups, don't do SEO. If you don't have, if you're early stage, this will be just burning money. Because SEO is very expensive, it's free in terms of, yes, traffic is free, but in order to get the traffic, you need to invest. So if you have like early stages, you can do the product market fit test with different ads, targets, events, it will be cheaper and faster because you need to have this feedback loop. If you have product market fit, you start basically every time. I recommend start with transactional and commercial because you need the traffic that actually converts people into leads and potential sales, and for that also you need to tackle informational and other examples here. And already when you're a big company, growth stage, like for example with Messente right now, we start implementing more different other things like linkable assets and so on. How the keyword research process is done, I'm not going deep because not a lot of people do that here in this stage, but basically how it's done, first you start with understanding like what are your core products, services, solutions, so you list that. Also you can go to semantically close topics. Again, errors, everything that I showed you before. And also you need to have a list of competitors, because competitors is the first inspiration where you can crawl the data and get all the ideas for your content. And yeah, you can play with that. Like for example, when you use such software as Ahrefs, you can have different modifiers to expand your data set, because when we do the keyword research, we first have a data set of 3,000, 4,000 keywords, and then we need to limit that to 100 topics that will be confirmed and so on. But you can like modify, let's say, add best versus review pricing, and then you can tackle, for example, your competitors' pricing and say why it's bad and so on. So there are different ways how you can experiment, of course, depending on your business model. So now let's start with the story about Messente itself. Sorry if it's so boring, but I just had to tell you something about SEO, because then it becomes easier. I didn't want to touch the basic stuff, but helpful content EEAT, this is very important right now. So I know Taavi, like for 4 years or something, we were just exchanging marketing ideas for some period of time. I also inspire you to connect with different marketers in different companies and just share experience. We started slowly our collaboration because actually Messente was working with different SEO agencies before us as well, with 2 if I'm not mistaken. And when I started working with the project, I understood that we have several goals, and one of them is definitely increase the digital visibility, right? Even though Messente was already doing not a bad thing, but what they were really missing is tackling the transactional and commercial keywords. So that was like basically our goal, to tackle and try to evaluate, try to increase potential sales. These are some like examples. So when we started, Messente already generated like 40,000 traffic, 40,000 organic visits per month, which is already a big number. This, you see the date. In October, we reached 100,000. It was October 6th. After that, we had hit by algo update. Again, this is coming to the EEAT stuff, because what we learned is that, okay, right now in Messente's blog, the problem was that we just had the name on offer, and that's it. No bio, no connection to social media, nothing. So that's why we are redesigning that, and soon we'll have results based on that. But yeah, we had a degree, so that's not the final number. But again, don't treat traffic as the most important KPI for you. Traffic is a vanity metric. I mean, it doesn't mean anything at all. What matters is this. And even I would say that even lead acquisition is also like kind of, some tactical, because like what you need to know is like, okay, how many of them we could convert into actual money, so that's what's important. So what were the problems or challenges? Well, first of all, tough global competition. Even in Estonia, there are 2 more big companies which deal with SMS marketing, and one of them I know has like 5 or 10x bigger budget, right, for SEO. So, Messente is a global company, as they're dealing, even though they have priorities in regions, they are a global company. So we're dealing with global competition. Low lead conversion rates and content optimization, in terms of that we had to rethink the transactional and commercial pages. So what was done? First, transactional commercial pages that can turn your traffic into money. For example, they had SMS API. We slightly refined that. SMS verification service is the best performing page right now in terms of transactional. We also have SMS gateway, bulk SMS, SMS lead generation, and so forth and similar pages. So where you can put that? So first of all, usually you have like features or products or solution on your website, right? So you can put, let's say, under products, you see these are the products, the main products that you sell. But in the footer, this is the footer image, you can put all other pages, because people rarely like go to your footer to find some specific page, because actually if it would be like fair text-based service and bulk SMS platform, they are doing the same stuff, right? So it's just different wording because we're tackling different keywords. But of course, be careful, because you can have keyword cannibalization, which means that when, let's say, several pages are ranking or competing for the same words. So for instance, if you have two pages that are similar to SMS gateway, none of them will rank.
I have one question.
Yes?
You mentioned that they're the same thing. Where are you pointing? To which links are you pointing from these words?
So the thing is that if we speak in terms of product itself, right?
It's the same product, but they have different pages.
Yes,
Okay.
you can do that, yes,
Yeah.
of course. So, but of course you need to be aware that it makes sense to make separate pages, so you analyze that. But yeah, basically you can create different wordings for different pages, and that's it. You can separate that. If you're working you have industries, you can have industry pages. They're also commercial or transactional, whatever, because it's on the border. And yeah, that's where we did that. Then also what we did, you need to create a topical authority. So again, coming back to the EAT, how Google identifies whether you're like an expert in the field. You need to cover the topic from all the angles. So for instance, here's an example of online shopping. If you want to sell something related to online shopping, you need to cover all the things, right? So remember about that. And like, Google says that you only need consent, right? But actually it's not so simple. And I advise you even to ask yourself two important questions, because I quite frequently heard from people that, we generated so many articles, but we don't have any traffic. Well, but did you do homework? So first of all, can I rank for these terms? This is a screenshot from software called Ahrefs. For SMS verification service, right now we're number 4 globally, and you have to check couple of metrics. So if you will be working, so this is the first metrics called DR, or domain rating. Domain rating shows the authoritativeness of your website. Some other software like SEMrush will show it like a DA, or domain authority. It's actually also vanity metric. It can be manipulated, but what it shows is basically how many backlinks does a website have. Right? So if you want to rank for some keyword and write an article, you should know, first of all, your domain rating. In Messente's case, it's like 68. But you need to check what are the other domain ratings. Because if your domain rating is 20, well, you have no chance to rank here, right? Because all others are like 56 is the lowest. So you need to find the similarities here. Of course, there are exclusions. Sometimes you rank even with a lower domain rating, but it depends. Of course, it depends is the most popular answer from SEOs. So also you need to check the backlinks or domains. This number shows like how many unique domains are referring back to this page. Because let's say, even though you see that, for example, this has 10, but this has 1 and 3, so these are higher. So of course it's not like a rule that always is correct, but so my point is that you need to collect some data in order to make a decision. Don't just blindly create content for the sake of creating content. And do we have enough authority? Basically, again, coming back to this number, is this number high enough to compete for that words? If this number is too high for you, you need to start with the simpler keywords. Because one of the factors influencing how much traffic you will get is the traffic itself. So if you start with the low-hanging fruits, simple keywords, you will generate some traffic. Only because of that, you will generate automatically more traffic for other words as well. And yeah, we use such tools as Ahrefs and Majestic. Ahrefs is the basic go-to software for all the SEO world. It became kind of expensive. You have SEMrush, which is cheaper. Majestic is a good tool for analyzing the backlink profile. Next, we boosted the creation of the content, so velocity. So back to Messente, we confirmed 80 topics in the first round. So the goal was to create a first of all, very efficient process, because we had to produce like 8 pieces of content per month. For some, it's not a big number, but Messente has like an outsourced content writer, and we are also like unsourced agency, so we had like 3 members who should be very efficient. We created SOPs for all the processes and so on, and worked in Airtable. But yeah, we made the detailed briefs. I here also left a link. We have like a brief example here with detailed explanation how to do that with the template. So yeah, that was very important. And yeah, we performed an SEO audit. And as I always say, it's always easier to update the content than create a new one. And it's also very important, again, coming back to the helpful content. If your website has dead weight, if the website has content that doesn't perform, unfortunately, Google will think that you have a low quality content, and it will perceive the whole website as that. So you need to get rid of poor quality content and update that. And for that, we used specific stacks. So again, Ahrefs. So the basic stuff is Screaming Frog. So this is the tool that allows you to scrape all the data on your website. You can have like an API integration to Ahrefs, because you pull the data about the referring domains, Google Analytics for other marketing metrics, Google Search Console, definitely you need that to pull some impressions, clicks, organic clicks. And Surfer SEO is a good tool for making updates. Because it uses also natural language processing to evaluate the top search results for your specific term, and then it gives you suggestions what terms you need to include in the article, and it has even like a scoring built in, so you see what's the score of your article. We always use that for any content we create. Yeah, link building and digital PR. This is the point where we started, and that's actually the reason why we're called ethical in the first place. The starting point on link building is that first you need to understand what are your strategic targets, goals. So coming back to transactional commercial pages. For that purpose, you need to do a link gap analysis. So let's assume you validated, okay, SMS verification service. This is the page I want to work on. And now you need to plan, okay, but how many links do we actually need? So this tool, or let's say framework, can be simpler, but you just need to understand what's the difference between you and your competitor. So for example, we take the number of referring domains, right? Usually you need to filter that, because not all these domains are good. They're bad as well, so I won't go into details because you're not doing that, but basically you check the average of your competitors. So let's say it's an average of 20 links for this specific page, and then you check, okay, I have only 9, right? Okay, the gap is 11. So you make some assumptions based on data, and this helps you to make your budgeting and ROI calculations. You can do that. Assumptions, of course. And yeah, when you did that, when you did the link gap analysis, you also have to find long-hanging fruits. So these are pages or articles that are already ranking in the position 6 to 20, because this will be the easiest pages to rank. You should focus on them first. But again, remember that you have to keep in mind this thing and ask yourself these questions. Even if you want to do link building, in any process you do, you need to ask these questions. Because we also made mistakes. Sometimes you start like building links, and building links is not cheap service. You know, just to give you some idea, it's like roughly 250 per one. So if you take 10, it's 2.5K. So it's a lot. And yeah, then you start doing link building process. It basically also just give you a quick intro how it's done. Let's assume you want to write about SMS. API, you want to promote that page, you find 1,000 websites that also mentioned SMS. You filter this list based on some metrics, some criteria, filtering. You find people who are responsible for the website, who have the access to actually edit, if you're WordPress, who has access to the website. And then you make the personalized outreach campaign. So in a nutshell, of course, it's more complicated. And yeah, you do that. So, just to give you ideas what were the results, just showcases some of the things. So for example, website g2.com, it's similar to Capterra. So it generates like 5.6 million organic visits per month. You never can buy a link from such websites. And I'm not speaking about, creating profile of your company and having a just link from there. No, when we speak about link building, you need to have links inside the text. Right? So let's say there is an article, and on this article there is some, let's say, text before and after the sentence, or let's say the word you're referring. So that is the links that you need. So yeah, there's some results. And of course, results are the happiest when you get them from your customers, right? So that makes you smile. Some tips. Listicles, as I mentioned, are very good for high quality, for converting. Data signals definitely before building links. Update articles that, firstly, prioritize updating articles that already rank. Based on our data, updating articles that already were more or less okay, had like a 70% higher increase in the traffic after the update compared to those pages that were more or less like dead. We just had to delete them. And yeah, definitely support ranking pages with digital PR and link building, because without that, no chance. Some recommendations and future forecasts. Digital PR, as I mentioned, in the era of generative AI will be crucial, because you want to get in the answer from Google or any conversational AI. If you are using AI itself, in my opinion, is not a problem. The problem is that when you just use it blindly, because it's just a tool and you need to have human in the loop. Even though for our customers, we do only manual stuff, but we experiment internally using AI more and more. And don't buy links, stay ethical. So what does it mean? So there are other ways how you can do that, how you can naturally gain backlinks. And this is crucial, because if you're a startup, you raise funds, you have shareholders, you shouldn't put your reputation in risk because of that. It's simpler than you think. And yeah, if you have any questions, as I mentioned, any response will be depends. So, but you can ask me or Taavi, and thank you for coming today.